Hi everybody, how are you today? This is Dr. Daniel. I am going to be talking to you about the cells today. So this is basically a basic unit of any living organism. So we're going to talk a little bit about the cell. I'm not going to be very deep on discussion, but I'm going to just talk, in generalization and give you some information a little bit. I hope this helps. So come on over, let's take a look at what I'm going to be talking about. Do you see all these beautiful pictures right here? Yeah? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Any cell of any human being or any organ or organism has basically a basic structure. And the basic structure of a cell is that it is an enclosed environment. So this is basically cell. There's the wall right here. Cell membrane or cell wall or whatever it is that we're dealing with. And this here usually has, sometimes there's like a small little sac that the cell makes. Depends on the cell, what it's doing, what it's making. There's a small little, okay, and then there is the nucleus inside here, which carries the chromosomes and the DNA and so on and so forth. And there is the organelles here. This is basically some organelles here, and there is the mitochondria over here, and there's a lot of them usually. We're just throwing a few here just to show you. So I just want to show you a basic structure here, and all of this is basically like sitting in a medium. It's living in a medium, and the medium, which is this here, this space right here everywhere, is made out of guess what? I mean, it's salt and water. That's all there is here, okay? And some proteins that are roaming around that the body's making, and that these Golgi apparatus and the mitochondria is trying to help to make some. And what these mitochondria are, and if I draw this out so that I can show you what the mitochondria looks like, a mitochondria would look something like this. And again, it has a wall on the inside, and it's got like a small little appendages everywhere. And these appendages can be long, short, whatever. And those walls, then the mitochondria, what it does is in these walls is it makes basically our what we call ATP, which is the adenosine triphosphate, which is basically the cell. So it produces ATPs, which is basically the power of the cell. And where does it get this stuff from? Now remember, there's a whole bunch of stuff here, but some of the stuff is the saline that we have in the cell. So it has saline here, and what it does with the saline, it takes it in and it breaks it up a little bit, and as it's breaking it up, it uses the energy that's present in the salt and water and dumps it back out, whatever it needs, as waste. And then it does it again and again and again, and all these villi are basically areas where this is happening, and every one of these is sitting on its own in here, and we usually may have hundreds or as many, depends on how big the cell is and how active the cell is. You may have few, you may have a lot of them in there, and those things are doing these things all the time. This mitochondria is doing this all the time. So one of the things that it's doing is salt and water. So if you think about it, salt is basically two atomic structures, and it is the what we call the sodium and the chlorine. The chlorine is a gas, and the sodium is a metal. And what it does is this one here is usually one electron available. This one needs an electron, so the electron kind of scoops over, and as it scoops over, it kind of starts to rotate between this and this, and it just keeps going between this and this and this and this, and combines itself, becomes salt. That's the stuff that we know about. It's salt that you actually eat on the table. And the hydrogen and water is basically two hydrogen atoms and an oxygen. And again, the hydrogen has an electron, the oxygen needs an electron. So now these two hydrogen, it needs two electrons actually, the oxygen needs two electrons. So now these two electrons, this from here and this from here, will start to rotate, and they come here, they rotate, they come here, they rotate, they come here, they rotate, and they just keep sharing themselves around. Now, what the mitochondria does is it breaks that up a little bit, and as it breaks it up, this here becomes negatively charged. So now we have a negative present as well as a negative Cl, and then if this species is too high, it causes too much damage to the cell organelles as well as whatever is happening in the cells, and to the proteins that it's making, and so on and so forth. That's one thing. Another thing, just imagine this salt and water, there is not enough. If you have not enough of here, then the cell becomes smaller. So as the cell shrinks, now the nucleus, the different mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus become too close, and they're crowded, and they become they cannot use what they need to use to actually to do anything, and the cell becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until the cell cannot do anything and it dies. Now these cells, as they sit next to each other, if there's a cell next to this, now they're communicating all the time, they're talking to each other, they're sending messages to each other that, hey, I'm alive. And if this cell here becomes too small and too dehydrated, the cell next to it will say, okay, well, this cell is no good, and then it starts to replicate to make a cell to take its place. Nevertheless, a white cell roaming around here will come and eat this up, so as it actually go away, so as you'll have replenishment of the new cells, so as you'll have space of the new cells. Now, any one of these can cause problems. Any one of these functions can cause problems. And if we can supplement those nutrients, whatever the nutrients are, so a supplemental nutrition to actually give the cells these molecules that it needs will be very beneficial. And one of those molecules is available nowadays in a special supplemental signaling, it's called a signaling molecule, redox signaling molecule. And those are basically available nowadays, which is very, very important. Because this here, as it's being done in like milliseconds, even nanoseconds, and it's going away. Well, they found a way of actually how to undo them and keep them undone in a special water and a special gel, and that's how we get the products, and the product then replicates and or does what the cell is doing. So it is innate in us what this is doing, and what the product is. It's actually innate in what the cells does. So that's why when you apply this, whether it's on the skin level or internally, so if it is topical or internal, you're doing the same thing that these things. Any cell, we're not talking about any particular cell. So any cell that is doing anything needs this function to be done. And if we can just give it that supplement, this way it actually being done more and more. And on top of everything, we usually lose some of this as we grow older. So this ability of doing these things will start to be reducing in certain disease processes. Also, this actual structure, which is the mitochondria, actually dies, and then we have less and less of these, and that can cause problems. So if we can keep these up where they should be number-wise, as well as the health of these organelles, the small little organs that are inside the cell, keep them up nice and healthy, then these cells will do what they're supposed to do. So if they're supposed to bring a hormone out, or if they're supposed to be producing something out, or if they're supposed to transport something from one side to the next, they are actually happy to do that because now they're healthy. And so the more you can actually supplement what the cells need and the medium that it needs, we are in good shape. I hope this helps. I don't know. Do you have any questions, Doc? Tell me. Did I explain it enough?
Enough.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah.
Do you have like any other questions or anything else do you think I should talk about?
I think you say all information.
Okay, well, let's look at the. So I hope this explained a little bit. I was hoping that we can do a little more explanation, but I don't want to go into it too deep. I just want it to be enough to explain what things are happening inside there. So one of the theories is that some people say also is that you need water to replenish your body, and you need the salt, and that's why we eat that. But again, you don't need too much, this supplement that we have, it's a perfect amount right now as to how much we're taking. And believe it or not, I think it's about less than a slice of bread, the amount of salt in the daily dose that you need to do this. Nevertheless, what I'm trying to say is people really need half their body weight in ounces of water. So if your body weight is 200 pounds, you need about 100 ounces of water a day. And you don't have to drink all of it at once. You can drink a little bit at a time, You also need your vitamins. You need all the other things too. That's why you eat different foods, and so on and so forth. You eat healthy stuff. So again, I hope this helps, and maybe if you have questions, please ask, and I'll be more than happy to explain them as well. I hope this was informative, and we'll talk to you again later. Bye guys, we'll see you later. Bye.